So I said, I don't know if it's a big business, but I know it's a big problem. And that's the problem that we're going to solve.
At the end of the day, I got to hold myself to that standard. So I don't complain to nobody. And I realize that I have the power.
Because the truth of the matter is, in society today, society is conspiring all the time in our culture.
You need to be. Everything else is noise, everything else is a rope keeping your ship on shore, and you are not confined to that harbor or yesterday's destination. You're built to chase the horizon, follow your curiosity into the sunset. You don't make decisions. Based on yesterday's story, you sculpt it with tomorrow's possibility. Understanding what you want sometimes requires learning in 1000. Different ways which you don't uncovering who you are means first. Experiencing who you are not finding the right person or people in your life calls for initially letting the wrong ones in life seems to demonstrate that there's a price to pay in order to get where we need to be patience.
And so we decided to build a totally new kind of company based around value. In 2014, private companies averaged 8% annual growth. We started Quest Nutrition in 2010, just as we were coming out of the Great Recession. From 2010 to 2013 alone, Quest grew by 57,000% in manufacturing. We were engineering and making our own equipment. We were making the bars. I was wearing a hairnet and a lab coat every day, and my employees were former gang members, ex-drug dealers, felons. We were in Compton, and we literally told everybody in the neighborhood, I don't care if you've been convicted of a crime.
And I remember the PhD, we're going to solve all of that. Like, no more ET ain't qualified. No more, like, we're going to pick this bird over this bird. Like, no. This PhD is going to open doors for me that were once closed, which means it's going to open doors for my daughter, which means it's going to open doors for my wife, which means it's going to open dours for my mother, which means it's going to open doors for CJ, which means it's going to open doors for Carl. And so every day when I woke up, I remembered the people that this degree would affect. And so the days I did not feel like studying, the days I did not feel like writing, the days I wanted to sleep on the plane, I thought about CJ and his family. I thought about Carl and his family. And I said, E.T., keep going. Listen to me very closely. The reason why you stop and start, and you stop and you start, and you stop and you start, is because the goal is not meaningful enough.
I just want to know if you're willing to bust your ass to change your life. And if you are, you're going to get an interview. And I'm not going to ask for your resume. I don't care about your resume. Your resume tells me where you've been. It doesn't tell me the price you're willing to pay to become somebody new. And that's how we were able to grow so fast, because we weren't focused on the money. The kids on the street that were coming in and working for us, they weren't focused on the money. One of the kids, his sister was shot to death in the heart with an AK-47. She bled to death on his front lawn. Another guy, his stepfather, was shot in the head and died in his arms. Okay, that's growing up hard. Now imagine you tell that person, I don't give a shit if you're a born entrepreneur. I don't care if you've been to jail. I don't care if you dropped out of high school. What do you want to become? And what price are you willing to pay to get there? You give that person hope that their life up to that point isn't a death sentence, that they can become anyone they want to become.
That's something about the goal that if you quit, it's not going to hurt nobody. If you quit, it's not going to change nothing. If you quit, it's not that deep. Look, this is what I need you to do. So immediately when I left that house and I made up in my mind that I was going to get the PhD, I remember immediately doing a TGIM saying, all right, it's over. It's over. A year from now, I will be Dr. Thomas. And I just didn't speak it into the atmosphere. I spoke it to people who would hold me accountable. Write it down. Write it down. Who's going to hold you accountable? Who's going to hold you accountable? Who's that person? Who's that person? And some of you have been a part of the real estate program. Some of you just come to hear me. When you leave, I need you to call that person, that guy, that young lady, that mother or that father. Like, I need you to call that person and say, yo, I got to do these 3 things before this month and before, yep. And this is who I'm doing it for, and this is why
They're expensive, they exhaust energy, time, resources. But they are the only way, as though one needs to dig a hole in their heart before fully understanding how to best fill it, and it's stepping back to leap Forward, I've always believed the no's teaches more than the yeses, the chaos more than the calm. We are tasked with taking our hurt and from it better. Understanding ourselves, holding our losses, and with them finding answers we once overlooked, embracing our fears and alongside them. Becoming courageous, that's why maintaining perspective is everything when we find that we've been slighted by life. We have to recognize that, maybe we didn't get the answer we wanted in the short term.
The gym isn't a fucking option. It's just part of my day. Getting up and getting work done, going to work, is not a fucking option. It's just ingrained in my life. But you're gonna have to flip that switch yourself. You gotta look internally. Nobody can make that change for you. It's gotta come from you. Giving up isn't going to do anything for you. You owe it to yourself to keep going.
To completely distract you so you never win. To just divert your focus and attention. Look over here. Look at this shiny thing. Look at this TV show. Look at this sports team. Worry about what's going on here in this war. And they get these different things on television and our phones and in our lives to just get us distracted so we never get obsessed. We never get laser focused for an extended period of time. Ask yourself truthfully, your big goals and dreams, are you really clear on what they are? Because if you don't have that, we can't even get started. But assuming you've listened to all of my previous content before, you know how mandatory it is to be clear and specific for what you want, right? But then the next layer is this. Can you get laser obsessively focused almost to its exclusivity, almost, but for an extended period of time? Can you honestly say you've done that for an extended period? I'm talking about a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, even a decade towards something you want so badly you want it like oxygen. It's like you want it like you want to eat.
Something beautiful, something necessary. We still learned what didn't work and saw where not to go. Because every step taken in one direction is a simultaneous decision to not go another. To embrace one option is to neglect its inverse. Every loss is a data point. Every time we fall, our worldview is shaped. And that's not just helpful. It's imperative. It's a brushstroke just as valuable as the ones derived from our successes, all culminating into one all-encompassing masterpiece. And I look back at the mistakes I made, the time spent learning where I shouldn't be, the days of people who didn't lift me up, and I'm incredibly thankful for them. They brought me clarity.
So keep pushing forward. Don't give up. There's a reason why you started this journey in the first place. I want you to think about that right now. Why did you begin? Why did you take that first step in the first place? You got that thought? Are you thinking about that goal? Now realize that if you give up, you are spitting on that goal. You are actively choosing to give up on the things that you would like to achieve. I understand it's hard, but life is meant to test you. It's supposed to push you to your breaking point. Because diamonds are only formed through immense pressure.
You want it like you want to live, right? Well, are you extendedly laser focused on it, or do you get distracted easily? And then we're going to talk secondly on the back part of the audio and video today about paying the price and the sacrifice for a second. But let's talk first of all about getting laser focused. And I mean this as your friend. I mean this talking to myself too. I always cover things that make me better, things that I struggle with. But I got to tell you, I think there's a different level for you. I think there's a different level for you to get obsessed, crazy, laser focused. I say all the time, our obsessions become our possessions, but we won't possess them if we're not truly obsessed. I bet there's been a person in your life you've been obsessed with. If you're over 20 years old, listen to this, more than likely you've had somebody you were pretty obsessed with, haven't you? That you wanted in your life, you wanted to date, you wanted as a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a significant other. How many times a day did you think about them? How many times a day did they distract you from what you were doing with just the thought of them?
What can you be the best in the world at? Life is a complex place. Complexity sometimes means confusion. It means we forget the big picture. What's our purpose? What are we chasing? What are we bringing to the world? What can you be the best in the world at? It's a little question I try and ask myself every day, because I know if I stay close to it, my decision will have far greater impact.